this sent out. Hit the button here, and finally end with. Aha. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Chris Ingerson, and it is. I have no idea why I was going to say July, but it is October 9th. And this is the October 9th TextQuest Devstream. So, today we are going to be doing a lot of art stuff, specifically some art feedback that I got regarding the castle and sewer. Well, actually, the sewer levels were notes that I took that I thought of on the fly. And we're going to add some art to the courtyard area of the castle just to make things feel a little bit nicer. And it's basically just going to be an art-heavy day. Nothing too crazy beyond that, honestly. Let me make sure that there's nothing absolutely crazy that I should fix. Okay. So, the first thing that I would like to do is, let's go ahead and jump to our sewers real quick. So, in these sewers, I have these valves. These valves have ports on them. Now, every valve has the same texture, which is basically just, this object with the word valve on it, and then the word port on the four cardinal directions. However, what I would like to do is, this is a small adjustment, but it's one that I think will help a lot. I would like to take these ports and only have them be visible in the areas where there is a pipe connecting to the valve. This is a small change, but the reason I want to do it is because it's not unusual for people to get stuck on this last puzzle. And the most common thing people do that I've noticed is they'll get to this final third valve, and they will basically keep rotating it left and right without any real idea of what direction it should go in. Mostly, I'm assuming the thought process that people have is they get here, they see that there are pipes coming from this top valve, and they think if they rotate this handle so that it's going to the right, then magic will flow down this pipe, as opposed to magic flowing up this pipe. So we need to basically find a way to handle that. So I think we can accomplish that with just some minor texture differences, nothing too crazy. I will have to take a look at this, because it'll probably involve, a fair amount of reorganization, but nothing too sorted, I don't think. It's mostly just going to suck trying to fit that all on there. I'm pretty sure we can do that. So this is going to be some fun texture stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up Illustrator, because we're going to have to start there. We're going to go back here. Let's minimize you. I'm going to go to Unity, TextQuest, Art, Textures, Environment, Intro, Sewer. We should have our valves. I'm assuming pipe valve. Yep, that's what we want. Is it not using a normal map? Well, that can't be right. We clearly have a normal map. Oh, you know what I bet it is? I bet I just didn't really... Well, no, that doesn't make sense. Where the freak is your normal map? Okay. Huh. Weird. Well, alright then. And what we'll actually probably do is take some time to clean up pretty much all the substances in here while we're at it, actually. So this will be a little bit of a round of optimizations and art adjustments today. It's going to be interesting. Alright, so first things first, let's go ahead and I am going to do a couple of things. One, I should have done this before I started playing. Hello, Dusted Ham. Welcome back. How you doing tonight? I probably should have checked to see if Substance Designer was actually up to date. I'm pretty sure that it's not going to be up to date. I'm also 90% sure that it's going to try to have me log in again, but we'll see. Yep, there it is. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go next. Finish. Okay, well, saved my credentials, so that's nice. Okay, so let's see. Here's our textures. Now we need to open up our substance. Oh, and actually, while I'm here, let's go ahead and say, let's see, pipe valve AI. Let's go ahead and say open with CX6. All right. Okay, so we do have a normal map. It's just not where I would expect it. Let's go ahead and also go to our art, substance, environment, intro, sewer, and we want our pipe valve. So let's open this up. It's going to be horrendously out of date, I'm sure. Not doing too bad. How have you been? I have been crazy busy. Yep, there we are. Yep, there we are. So I've been, oh jeez, work with me here, substance. I've been traveling basically for the past 2 weekends, and this past week I had a ton of late nights at work. So it's just been crazy. And I've been trying to do a better job of staying on top of my open source stuff. So I have no life anymore. It's too much to do. So yeah, it's been a busy past couple of weeks. So anyway, this is our substance. As you can see, we do have a lot of wasted space in here, so we are going to repack this and have a much, much, much better laid out texture that doesn't have as much wasted space, and will actually let us use the appropriate texture texts. Although that is actually going to make things a little more difficult for me now that I think about it. I think I can get around that. Okay. So we're going to, first up, go back to Illustrator, and then we're going to start moving things around. I'm going to just keep these masks and normals locked for now. We're going to unlock this. We're going to slide this over. We're not really doing anything with this. I am going to assume that what is happening up here, let's take a look at this handle. Like if I were a betting man, probably what is happening is on this mesh, I just have the handle being presented here, obviously, and then we have on the ends, it's just UV to that blank spot on the texture, which is not great. So we're going to fix that. So first things first, let's go ahead and I think we're going to shrink this text a little bit, just a smidge. So we're going to have this be, instead of this, I believe I go in increments of 12. Yeah. So we're going to make this 108. Okay, that works pretty well. And we are going to keep its vertical, well, let's see. Let's shrink this D part in a little bit. We're going to make that 72. Nope. 84. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Cool. So now that's in there. And we're also going to go ahead and move the valve over to here. So this is the side of the valve. Well, it's literally the side of the valve. It's this part. Well, the side, I guess technically that's the, yeah, so this is the side. The bottom one is the top and the bottom of the valve. Oh, man, we got some lag. All right. So let's go ahead. We are going to try to move this up here, and let's see if we can squish this in right there. No, we cannot do that. So we are going to shrink these values. Again, we're going to probably go 108. It's a pretty safe bet for these, 108. It's just going to be a minor thing that lets us wrap around a little bit more cleanly. Let's go up a little bit. Because if we look at this, we don't need a ton of UV space, really, on the ends here. Okay, we're looking good. The tricky part is going to be the center, or the front. Because we need to have different ports be available for different settings, and I would like them all ideally to be, well, I guess there's no reason why I have to have them be the same material, but then again, I might as well try, because I need 3 variations. I need a variation where we have the left, right, and top ones. That's for the blue and red valves. The green valve needs the top and bottom one, and this one up top needs all 4. So I need 3 variations of this. Jeez. There's some problems here. Trying to think through this. All right. I can make that even more clear. Okay. Yep. Cool. So we're gonna take a little bit more of an extreme approach. We are going to. How do I want to do this? Let me first up go to this pipe valve. Alright. And wow, it has been a while since I've looked at this. All the sliders are different. We're going to come down to here. Let's open this all up. Actually, I don't need that open quite yet. But I can add a new thing, and we're going to make it... Okay, so I can do integer arrays, but only up to 4, so that's actually not useful, so let's get rid of that. Okay. I wasn't sure if I could do an array. Technically, I could on a shader, but I can't really do that inside of Substance, so that's not super helpful. Also, welcome back. Oh, see, also, what conventions have you been going to, Dusted? So, I'm going to want to, I think, we're going to grab these. We're going to shrink this down to 138. Or maybe 120, actually. Let's go ahead and shrink this down to 120 as well. A little more compact, but still a little oblong. Let's try 108. That is looking pretty good. I'm going to actually go ahead and just make a square real quick. Let's make it a crazy color. Come on, work with me. Pink, that's fine, whatever. Just so that I can properly align this. And make sure that it is a square. Okay, so it's still a little close to the edge, so I'm going to want to shrink this in just a little bit. So we're going to make this be 96. I think that's fair. And we're going to make this be -100. Oh, not 100, -100 across the board, which will put us like right about there. That gives us a little more space inside. Actually, we can probably bump this up to 102. Okay, something like right about there. Yeah, that's looking good. The reason that we're doing this is because if you look at the valves right now, you can see that the lettering is really close to the edge, and that looks hideous. So we don't want to do that. We want to have some amount of room. Now I was saying you're going to do a lot of them. Yeah. And then I have another convention. Actually, it's a conference, I guess, in 2 weeks. So, yay! You never know. There are some local meetups that you can go to just to show off your work. Also, let's go ahead and try to shrink these in. So I can do something like this. You're not gonna work with me, are you? Nope. Okay. So let's select both of these. Move one of them up to about here. Then move the other one so that it's in. Okay, same thing. Let's try to move this in just a little bit. Move this one up. Alright. So that's not terrible. But what is the pink that's throwing off all sense of color. Let's move these in just a little bit. Try to have these, I guess, be centered on the text. just to make it a little more visually interesting. And with that, actually, I think we're in a pretty good spot. So let's go ahead and add a layer here so I can group these all. Not dollar way. Come on, 4-way. Okay, let's go ahead and duplicate this. Call this a 3-way. Put this down here. I am reasonably confident this is all going to fit, actually. We will, again, have to re-UV some of this stuff, but it's fine. Okay, so we're going to let's go ahead and try to put this over here. Right about there. So we do have a little bit of extra space. I'm not entirely sure if we need all that. Let's go ahead and move this in. Let's grab our 4-way, duplicate, make this a 2-way. Okay. Local game dev meetup is kind of weird. Not a lot of professionalism, just a bunch of people looking to get their game made. Interesting. So you don't... So you mean like people go there looking for people to help them make their game as opposed to just kind of like trying to get feedback? Let's go ahead and slide this over. Okay, that's not great. Let's move this down to here. Over to here. Oh, this is turning out so poorly. Let's go ahead and shrink this in just a little bit more. We're going to grab this. Let's move it up to here. Okay. We're going to grab our 4-way and our 3-way, actually. We're just going to move this over to the right. I think that's pretty good in terms of spacing. Let's go ahead and grab the 3-way again, move it up a little bit. So we still have a little bit of extra space in here that I guess I could like couple this a little bit. Kind of just give me a little bit more room to work. Actually, no, that works out pretty well because I can then do this. I'm just going to move this. God, it's all the valves are starting to look like value to me. Let's go ahead. Drag this over to here. Okay. And then I'm going to extend this a fair ways down. Let's go ahead and just kind of reposition this a little bit to like right about there. And then we're going to get some text. So we're going to duplicate this. We're going to get this down to here. All of this, and it's going to just say end. Okay. And then we are going to change its size. Yeah, a lot of ideas, not a lot of work being done. And that's a shame. Yeah, most of the local dev meetups that I've gone to have been people kind of like showing off their game and maybe asking for help on like how do I do this thing, but never really will you do this thing for me. Okay, I'm also going to just extend this a little bit longer. It's looking pretty good. Okay, so I think this is a pretty good setup. I still feel like we have wasted space here, but I don't know what to put in there, so that's very disappointing. Let me, oh, right, I should probably also edit this. So here is our 3-way, so I can get rid of that one. This is our 2-way, so let's get rid of these two. So how do I want to do this? Again, I feel like I should put something here, but I just don't know what. It sucks, but I don't know what to put there. All right, so I think we're pretty good as far as our texture goes. Let's go ahead and we're going to lock this, and then we're going to duplicate this. We're going to call this normal. We're going to rename this old one normal old, mask old, okay. And let's see, so we're going to go ahead and The makerspace, though? What do you mean? Is that like a separate meetup for local developers? All right, so this is all good. I think we got rid of all the copy text. Except for that. Cool. Let's go ahead and set these to be appropriately masked. I think we can get rid of you entirely. Yeah. Oh, what the heck? You. That's what I want. Gone. There we go. So we're going to change this. Normals are grayscale in substance, so we're going to make this black. And then we are going to grab our handle, take this. I believe we just made this white. Yeah, because it's wood. So we're going to grab both of these things, make them white. Cool. Then we have our valves, which gets a little bit more difficult because we have gray and then white, as you can see there. So we are going to this is going to be tough. I guess that's fine. Yeah, we'll leave it alone for now. I have an idea for a more advanced thing that we could do maybe to help with some visual feedback by trying to make it look like magic is flowing through specific ports. But it's going to require so much freaking effort. Well, maybe not. I think I know what I can do to handle that. So we're going to go ahead and make these white. Okay, white. Let's go ahead and grab these. Make these white. Okay, and then we're going to make the valve ones be 50% gray. Okay. Oop, and I missed two valves. These guys. Oop, come on, work with me. All right. So that should be our normal map now. Let's go ahead and collapse these. And then we can make some masks now. Let's see. Makerspace is people soldering and making neat things, playing with 3D printers and whatnot. Ah, okay. Yeah, that is pretty cool. I actually don't think there's something like that. Well, I'm assuming there is something like that around here, but I do not know what it is. Because I would be surprised if there was not some kind of practical engineering, basically, team meetup somewhere around here. That's pretty cool, though. You go there. How often do they meet? All right, so this is going to be interesting. So I need two masks. I need one for... There. I need one for ports. Which I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Duplicate mask. Oh no, that's dumb. That's really stupid of me. Let's get rid of that. So we're just going to call this masks, and then we'll bunch this up and call this ports. So this will be a mask for specifically our ports. So I'm going to get rid of the handle. Get rid of most of our valves. Actually, all of our valves. So all we have left are... What the... Oh, it's because... Yeah, whatever. Okay. So these will be masked out at a certain point. Okay. And then all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to duplicate base and move this up to here. And we're just going to call this handle. Go ahead and turn this on. We're going to get rid of all the text because we don't actually care about it. We're just going to call this... I don't even need the BG. I can just move this up. So let's get rid of this. Make this black. So those are our masks, and those are also our normal and base maps. So let's get rid of the old ones. All right. So we're gonna lock this, select this, and open this up. Cool. So let's go ahead and save this. Then we will export our maps. Okay. And then let's go ahead and say open recent files, pipe valve. Let's go ahead and select our normal. SVG. Let's see. Pipe valve normal. Let's go ahead and update that. Okay. File open recent files. Let's get rid of both of these. Turn on our masks. Get rid of our ports. So we're going to export this as an SVG. This is going to be pipe valve. It's going to be handle mask. Or actually, I guess I should stick to mask underscore handle. Okay. And then our last one, which is for our ports. All right, let's see. Pipe valve, mask handle, ports. All right. So now we should be able to jump over to the substance side of things. And most of it should have carried over, which is nice. The only extra stuff we have to do is handle how masks are done, which is a relatively minor thing. So, let's see. They do an open house Tuesday nights, but you can pay membership fee for 24/7 access. It's a big tool shop with everything you need in it, so it's pretty good if you're making things. Everyone knows something different if you need help. That's pretty cool. Yeah, the closest thing I can think to a scenario like that is there's a common workspace near where I live that people can just kind of go in and work. But it's not, it is an art place, but it's not a place where there's like shop tools or anything to help with that sort of thing. Although I'm sure you'll run into people there that could help you with that sort of thing. Okay, so, oh geez, well that's gross, but okay. So we're gonna do a couple of things. We're gonna have to restructure this a little bit. We're going to move this over to here. Let's go ahead and grab our resources. I'm going to add, let's see, pipe valve, mask handle, and ports. We're going to move these over to here. We're going to link these resources, hit OK. We're going to go ahead and I'm just going to delete this. And we're going to drag you out over to here. We're going to drag you out over to here. We're going to make these grayscale because they do not need to be color. They are just black and white. We are going to move this to here. I'm also going to go ahead and set our parent size here to be 1024 by 1024, just give us a little bit more resolution to work with. That is not okay. Don't know why you're doing that. You're wrapping it in weird ways, but it's fine, I guess. Okay. Let's go ahead. So we have this. This is our old one. I'm going to get rid of it. Move this down to here. Move this up to here. We're going to get rid of our pipe valve mask. We don't need this anymore because we have our mask handle and mask ports. Then we are going to do a blend node here. This is going to be right here. We're going to change this to relative to parent, so we don't have to worry about that. We're going to set that to be there. We're going to use our mask here. Oh, actually, so I want. Okay, that gets a little complicated. So I want this to be a switch, which is essentially going to just. Hold on, let's delete this. we're going to set this to be an opacity of 0 or 1. That's pretty much exactly what I wanted, so good on it. Got to take off. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, Dustin. I will see you later. Have a good night. All right. So this, changing this to a switch just lets me turn on or off my ports here. And I will explain why. So I'm going to essentially have two materials. One material will be this with the ports filled in, like that, and one will be the material, or one with the ports filled, not filled in. And I will have to swap between them to show magic flowing through them, which is going to be weird. Oh man, I do not know if I can get away with that. That's really going to suck. I think I can. Jeez. No, that really does not work. Okay. Let me think. I could, in theory, do a shader to do this. My problem is that if I do this the brute force way with only substances, I'm going to have multiple materials that I need. I only wanted to have 2, but I can't really do that with this system, which sucks. So for now, I am not going to use this. I'm just going to let this stay the way that it is. So I will actually get rid of this. But that doesn't mean I can't handle other things. So let's see. We are going to up this a little bit. So let's go ahead and move this down to here. Let's move this down one more. We're going to go ahead and move this over to here. Here. Move these down. Let's grab this. Move this to here. We're going to make a uniform color. It's going to be grayscale. It's going to be a fixed size of 16 by 16. We're going to change this to be a fixed size of 16 by 16. We're going to do a blend that is going to basically do this with this. Mask coming in over here. We're going to make this be the size of our, actually it's going to be absolute at 512 by 512. Okay, looking good. I don't let my metallic or roughness maps go over 512 because you don't really gain any extra resolution there, so I might as well just keep them clamped down to 512 textures. Makes it have a smaller impact because a 1024 by 1024 texture is 4 times as large as a 512 by 512 texture. All right, so we're pretty much just going to copy this, paste this down here. We're going to connect this. Let's go ahead and put you here, put you here. And we did this just so that we can have different roughness values on our handle versus on our valve, and same for our metallic values. So we're just going to go ahead and say that this should probably, so this is metallic, it's probably going to be 0, whereas the roughness value is probably going to be somewhere like up here. Let's go ahead and just do like 225. Nothing really too crazy. It's going to be mostly roughness. These are pretty much going to be the same. Let's go ahead and bake these down to 16 by 16, make things speed up a little bit faster. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Everything else is pretty much where I would expect it to be, so we're just going to leave it at that. Cool. Let's go ahead and I'm going to... Interesting. That's fine. Let's go ahead and save. We're going to go to this, which I'm guessing is set to our output, or to our roughness value. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to expose this as new. This is going to be our handle rough. Okay. We're going to expose this as our handle metallic. And now we should have these two extra ones. Let's go ahead and rearrange this a little bit. We're going to rename this to base. All right. This is going to be a slider. We're going to set its default value to be like 0.9, basically. The label is going to be handle. It's going to be under the rough grouping. It's going to be slider as well. Let's go ahead and clamp both of those because they should be. Label is going to be handle, metallic. We're going to make this be called base. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Don't really have anything extra that I need to do there. So I am going to move this to there. I'm pretty confident in that. I'm going to leave my masking colors alone for now, but I am going to go ahead and add frames to these things. So we're going to grab these, and oh boy, didn't they just make it the easiest, most awkward thing ever. Why would they do this? Okay, so this is going to be for roughness, which I've traditionally made purple, so 130, 50, oops, 50, 130. Okay, match that all up. This is metallic, which I have traditionally made aquamarine, I think is what that color is called. 130, 130. Okay. It's like a greenish color. All right, so that should be good. Then let's go ahead and save that. We will now export this. We are going to just move this over to Unity, text quest, art, substance, environment, intro, sewer. And this is going to be pipe valve. Hit save, yes. We're going to do OK. Let's go ahead and open this up in Substance Player. Nice. Looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and we are going to I'm going to just go ahead and export this. Good, everything does seem correct. So we're going to go ahead and just say export as bitmap. Wow, I did not mean to click OK. Well, great. That means I need to delete that now. Except I don't know where it went, so let's find out. Export as bitmap. Where did you go? It went to the tanks folder, so it really doesn't matter, I guess. I'll just make this a PNG. Let's browse. We're going to go to Unity, text quest, art, textures, environment, intro, sewer. Okay, so we're going to select this folder. We are PNG. All I really care about is the base color. That's all I need. Everything looks good, so let's go ahead and say export. Let's close this. So here's what it is. And now I can open that up in Maya because we're going to need to basically save out 3 different versions. Oh, geez, this. All of the passwords. Let's see if I can remember them. Okay. So now that that's coming up, I should probably actually just navigate to that. art, models, intro. Well, that shows you how old it is. Oh dear, I legitimately don't. Okay, actually, hold on. Let's go to, maybe the castle is just grouped in here with this. So this is going to be pipe valve, which pretty good chance that it's pipe dial there. So let's go ahead and say file, set project. Let's go ahead and navigate over to here. Text west, art, models, intro, castle. Go ahead and set this. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and say open scene. This is going to be our pipe dial. I'm pretty sure that this is what I made. Yep. Cool. And before we do anything else, I am going to go ahead and go to images. Okay, it's always source images. There we go. Let's go ahead, drag this in over to here, place that. Okay, so now you can see that all of this is just like all kinds of worked. That's fine. That's what we would actually expect. I have to remember how to do this. Oh, that's right, because I deleted the back face. No reason for it. Okay. So let's go ahead and grab our handle. I am going to slide this over to here. I'm going to do a bunch of movement so you guys can see things a little bit better. So these are our ends. Let's go ahead and do I have? Okay, I was going to say I do have the UV set up for the light mouse, right? So we're going to go ahead and set up UV. Grab these. Let's slam these down, and of course they do not actually frickin' match up. So we're going to make this change up a little bit. Grab you, to the right, cool. Let's grab this. We're going to go down to here. Let's go ahead and just scale it. Well, before we scale, let's go ahead and move this over to here. Yeah, they both need scaled up. Well, that's a pretty happy coincidence then. So we're just going to grab both of these. We're going to set this to scale ever so slightly. Probably about there. Put you right about here. Okay, and we're going to grab this and put you right about here. Alright. This one's a little more strange. Let's go ahead and rotate it 90. That's probably correct. Yeah, that's probably the best we could hope for. Okay, yeah, I think we're looking good there. Alright, now we need to change the actual base model, which again has all of its light maps set up correctly. Yay. Let's go ahead and grab our face. Alright, just making sure. So we're going to grab this, move this over to here, to about there. And we're going to do some minor scaling once we're done here. Let's go ahead and grab everything, actually. Put you up to here, and right about to here. So we're going to grab all of this, and we are going to scale down ever so slightly. Okay, so I'm going to turn off my shading real quick so I can position this properly. Right about there, that looks correct. Right about here, that looks correct. Okay, but this is unfortunately going to have to scale in quite a bit, so we're going to move this up. We're going to scale this down to about there. Oh dear. Right about there, I think. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. So here is where things get interesting. So I need to export three different versions of this base mesh here that I will then manually rig up to geez, now you know what? How do I want to handle this? So I could export multiple meshes below this and just turn the ones I want on or off. That would probably work, because then I wouldn't have to have 3 different models that I have in there for FPXs. So yeah, let's do that. So this is going to be dial 4-way. We're going to duplicate this. This is going to be dial 3-way. Duplicate that. This is dial 2-way. Okay. So we're going to select this. So on the 3-way dial, which is going to put up a fight, I'm sure. Face. I'm going to grab this, move it down to here. That's our 3-way. Okay. And then our dial 2-way. Grab all of this. We're going to move it over to here. Oops. Slide it over as close as we can get without actually getting into the margin of error for that. All right. So that should be our 3 different meshes. So now, everything should still look right. Make sure. Okay. Ooh, why are you stretched? I think these might actually be borked. Let's go ahead and grab these. I'm going to... geez, I'm just going to have to do this, aren't I? Yep. All right, let's go ahead and grab these. I think they were distorted a little bit. Let's go ahead and grab you. Grab our UVs. So first we're going to go here, then here, then here, then finally here. Let's go ahead and slam all that, then slam all this. Looking good. We're going to grab all of this, move it over. Wow, really? Ugh. Well, that's why it looks so distorted. That's really unfortunate. So you can see that like the handle is stretched. Ugh. Well, there's really no reason why we have to do that, because I have a ton of vertical space here, as you can see. But that does become exceedingly difficult. That's not ideal. Okay. So I can try to do, you know what, it's just gonna, we're gonna just have to deal with this for now. Okay. Not ideal, but it'll work for now. Just so I can get in there and make sure that everything looks right. Cool. Let's go ahead and save that. Let's go to our UV sets. Make sure everything looks laid out correctly. Nice. Okay, looking good. I'm going to slide this back over to here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and save. Then we are going to say File, Export Selection, Pipe Valve. Let's go ahead and include our animations. It's all good. Okay, so we can now close this. Let's go ahead and open up Unity. Let's select this. We're going to go to our dial, show and explorer. Okay, here we are. So pipe valve is what we're looking for. Let's grab this, put it in, place file. Yep, that's about right. So pretty much all of these are going to be busted now, which kind of sucks. That's just what happens when you have this sort of thing. So I'm going to do a couple of things. One, I'm going to make sure that that's off. Let's look at this. Good. Getting rid of you. And then we're going to come back to here. Let's go ahead and make sure that our animations are in the right location. Okay, so all that's still there. That's good. Let's go ahead and grab this. I suppose what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to drag this up to here. We're going to copy this transform, although it should be 90. Let's copy this, paste it in here. We're just going to kind of move everything around here. Else, collision module, yes, I do, apparently. Oh, right. Yep, cool. So let's go ahead and just, real quick, rename this to old. Rename this. Okay, we are going to just go ahead and grab all of these, add component. We're going to add a box collider because that's all we need. And let's go ahead and... Oh, this is going to be a fun time for some optimizations, actually. One... Oh, that's interesting. The valve itself is not static, but... well, either way. So let's go ahead and we're going to move collision... Actually, you know what? We're not going to move it. We're going to copy this. Copy component, grab all of these. We're going to paste component as new. Okay. And then we can get rid of this. Once I make sure that everything else is good. Okay. So let's get rid of this. Yes, I know you are going to break instance. That's fine. Active global illumination material. We do not care about that. Go away. There's no freaking X for that. Alright, so I think that's pretty much everything. Oh, right, I need to actually assign the material, of course. Which is going to be right here. Oh, right. I was like, why is this wrong? It's because I did not actually change this yet. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Ta-da. All right, nice. Thing looks good. Our valve looks a little bit better because its lettering is not quite as aggressively toned or aggressively hugging the sides. Yeah, I think that's good. Are you kidding me? Dang it, I knew I would do that. I knew one of them was going to be upside down. I looked for it, but I didn't look that hard, I guess. Of course, it was the one side that was in shadow. Ah! Freaking ridiculous. Always gets me. Okay, let's re-export that again. File, export selection, same thing. Pipe valve, export selection, blah, 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 blah. Let's just get everything moved over. There we go. Okay, so now there's that. We have the ends. Okay, so everything looks a little bit better. And for this, I do actually want to check something. The dial here, did I make it a trigger? I did not make it a trigger. But I probably want to. So let's go ahead and go to here, and it needs to be in the interactive layer. Yes, change children, cool. So I'm going to make the valve handle a trigger. That way you can't like bump yourself with it, which is something that actually has happened before. And I'm also going to mark these as static because they don't have to move, but the valve does. So I'm curious to see how that handles it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, so these can be disabled. And I really don't want to redo this, so let's go ahead and select this. Are you useful for anything? No. Except that. Okay, crap. Well, let's go ahead and just apply it. And let's see if this changed a lot. I'm going to be sad if it did. See. I was a little worried about that, but we can remove these. These ones are probably going to be a little more difficult, though. Hold on, let me see. Switch directions. Stop. Yep. Okay, so I do need to, unfortunately, do that. Oh, wait, no. Yes. Okay, we're good. Cool. So all that was changed enough that I don't have to worry about it. So that's nice. Let's go ahead and collapse these, collapse that, collapse you. Oh, valve D is completely different though. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this, remove component. We're going to turn 4 on, and we're going to delete this. Okay, get rid of this, get rid of this. Set this to the default layer. Let's change children. We're going to remove all of this. All right. The only thing I have left to do that I meant to do here, we're going to select this. Of course, we're going to go ahead and actually select this. See if we can get away with that. Yay, I can. I'm going to make this so it's a trigger, and I'm also going to add a rigid body to it. And then I will turn off use gravity and set it to be kinematic. Now the reason for that is because of something called static colliders. So when you have a collider that does not have a rigid body attached to it, Unity sets it into a cache. And if you move that collider, even if the object itself is not marked as static, that collider is treated as static, so it has to rebuild that cache. And that's way more expensive than just having a rigid body that's set to kinematic on it. It's really stupid that that's the case, but that's the way things are. So essentially what we want to do whenever we have moving colliders is we want to have a rigid body on them that's just set to kinematic so that it will not rebuild that cache constantly. Okay, so let's go ahead, go over to pipe. Here, let's turn this off. Okay, so this should be the red one, looking good. This is the blue one, looking good. This is our green one, looking good. And this is our, yay. So that should work now. Let's go ahead and make sure that these have rigid bodies and all that. Okay, cool. So I think what we'll do now is, let's go ahead and collapse these. Let's turn this off. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to behave correctly. I probably would have to rebake some of this to get nicer effects. But it looks like everything's kind of on the right track, so that's good. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like in motion. It's going to be small. This will also make sure that we can properly test everything so that it's not busted. Okay. Give us a second. Should spawn in. I was worried about that. So the direction needs to be changed. So, whoop. Come back to here. Both of these, oh yes, of course not. The switch. Interesting. Okay. Right, the start index, I believe, needs to be, so it's 0, 1, 2, and 3. So B and A need to be, oh, right, of course not. Start index of 0, basically. This is, I believe, up, except it's not telling me that. So that's not exactly great, but I'm assuming 0 is what I want. Okay, so let's try that again. So we should have a little bit more visual hints, or a few more visual hints about the valid directions for the. Okay, so it's just not gonna work with me. That's good. Good to know. Good to know. Let's go ahead and stop that. So we're gonna grab this. Nope, 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 nope. We're gonna grab you and grab this. Interesting. Let's see. Yes, so index should be equal to 0, except it's apparently not. Question mark? Surprise gasp. Ah, here we are. This is something I really should have not done. Let's set you, then remove you. Okay. I think this is good. Let's go ahead and ponder why our index is not set up as you would expect. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Well, our valve is not set to static, correct? Yes, okay. Let's go ahead and hit save, and let's find out. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. I'm going to move the animator up to here. We're going to move this. We're going to turn off maximize on play. And I want to see where it goes. Left. But the question is, why? Its index is even set at 0. I'm curious. Switch ID. Interesting. I'm not sure what's happening here. Let's go ahead and open up our dial switch. Let's see if our index value there is messed up. Or at least figure out why it might be defaulting to 3. let's see, dial switch rotation message. Let's go to the switch, go to definition, start index. Here we are, find all references. Session.get int switch ID. Switch ID, which I thought was up here. Yes. Then why are you wrong? Curious. Let's go to definition. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go down here to switch definition, and we're going to just debug this value. Debug.log, string.format, blah, 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 blah. We're going to say 0 and then 1, which is going to be switch id.name, followed by start index. Let's just make sure that I'm not doing something stupid here and that those values are what I expect. Come on. I believe in you, Unity. You can do it. Ah, here we are. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay. No, these are fine. The appropriate ones. Okay. Huh. Also, I'm not entirely sure why this is like that. I have an active one down here. That seems incorrect to me. Okay, let's go ahead. Play again. Should debug out our IDs and their respective values. So we'll figure out why it borked. 0, 0, and 3. Okay. And you're there. You're there. Listeners. Ah, that's why. Of course. So this should be valve B index, and then this should be valve A index. There we are. Alright, let's go ahead and play there. Alright, now it's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and play, turn this off, come back here, run around. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Good. It looks like it did update combination values as we would expect. Alright, looking good. Again, the extra ports or the missing ports, I think you had a little bit of a nice hint. Just kind of fly through here. Cool. Ta-da! Well, that's nice. So that all does seem to work. There... There is something else that I would like to do here, which is just to have the water become smaller and more transparent um, as you turn on pipes, basically, just as a little bit of a visual hint. So it's going to complicate things, but I think we can work with this. Because fortunately our waterfall text is, I believe, only used, yes, in one. Well, no, let's double check that to be sure. I'm reasonably sure that this is not using our waterfall. Good. So we can make this, instead of it being opaque, being fade. It does become more complicated in that case. But let's see. Yes, that does not inspire confidence. So the idea is that we would make it progressively more transparent. However, maybe I should just set it to be opaque and I just scale it. That would actually not be too bad. Same effect, essentially. Just so instead of x1, let's say when you turn one of the valves off, it'll go down to like 0.75 by 0.75. And then, oh, that, no. Okay, phew. I thought for a second that it was like just all kinds of worked in terms of the W. And it is. Are you serious? No way. How on earth did I let that happen? Ugh. That's just gross. Okay, I guess I just wasn't very careful when I modeled that. Man, Pascaris, terrible job doing this. What is wrong with you? Jeez. Yeah, that must have been where they joined up. Eey. That's not exactly good. But either way, so essentially what I would do is I would just like do 0.75 by 0.75 and then 0.5 by 0.5 until eventually we will get to the point where it's just barely there. We might have to bump that up to be like 0.8. Oh, come on. 0.8 and then 0.6 to 0.6 and then 0.4 to 0.4. Oh, actually, no. No. Yeah, you know what? I think we can do 0.75, then 0.5 to 0.5. Yeah, that would be nice. Although simply scaling it that much might not be enough. It's a little hard to say. I think we'll be fine, actually. So let's go ahead and just zero these out. Okay. So we can't have it be static because I do need to turn it on and off, obviously. Let's go ahead and set this up. So we're going to go to our sewer. Oh, right. Actually, one of the other things I need to do that I completely forgot about, I need to update these zones because, excuse me. I don't know why I have to burp so much. If you are walking up to this, into the drain basin, as soon as you enter this hallway, it'll say drain basin, which is weird if you haven't gone through the door yet. So let's go ahead and open this up. Let's check our padding. Give us a padding of 0. Let's go ahead and say update. Yeah, that works. That's better. All right, so that's a minor thing. Let's go ahead and turn this down. We're gonna go ahead and collapse this. Okay, waterfall. So let's go ahead and open this up. Yeah, this is just a mess. call it waterfall or did I call it waterfall object? It's probably that. Okay. So yeah, this is interesting. Okay. So I'm going to want to do a couple of things. One is going to be, go up to here. We're going to say just float scale is equal to 1f. I know, we're not done with you yet. And I really am not liking that this is just a... I don't want to really constantly have to do that. So let's go ahead and we're going to change this. Let's go to definition. I'm going to look for something just called waterfall. Make sure that I don't have something already just called waterfall. I'm going to rename that to just be called waterfall. Cool. So I'm going to come up to here. I'm just going to rename this to waterfall. We're going to do this as a transform instead. Game object. It's because this should be a little less garbagey. Game object. Okay. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this. Set bool for each Alright, and what we're going to do here is we're just going to say if session.get bool valve1, not value, valve1 ID, and then, so if that's the case, we're going to say scale minus equals 0.25f. Boop, boop. So valve 2, valve 3, and all we're going to do after that is say waterfall dot local scale is equal to new vector 3. So this is going to be scale 1f scale. Okay, pretty basic there. And do I want to set that absolutely every time? It's probably fine. Okay. And then what we're going to want to do is probably check out Castle Sewer Manager's editor, find all references. I'm going to guess that this is find all references. We're going to need to set this up properly. So instead of waterfall object, we're just going to call this waterfall. Okay. I think we are good there. I really don't know why. Oh, jeez. I hate looking at my old code. Don't touch it. I don't need to touch it. It's okay. Okay, so. What to do about this? Okay. So we are going to one. Yep, okay, it went away because of course it did. Grab this, make sure that's correct, and everything else should be fine, I think. So let's go ahead and clear this. Let's collapse this down, hit save, and once we adjust our valves, we should actually see it scale up and down, which will be nice. Again, it's just a small visual indicator that you are progressing. actually looks pretty cool. Alright. It's not super noticeable, so probably what I should do is, in addition to setting the scale, I should probably reduce its volume as well. So let's go up to Castle Sewer Manager. We're gonna go to here. Let's come down to here. We're gonna say private float cached waterfall audio. How about waterfall volume is equal to 1F. Then down here in start, we're just gonna say cached waterfall volume is equal to waterfall audio dot volume. Okay. And then when we iterate through our scale, we're also going to say waterfall audio is equal to mathf.lerp from 0f to cached waterfall volume based on scale. Oh, sorry. Dot volume. I was like, why are you mad at me, Unity? So we should get a little bit of an audio reduction. And probably what we would do, by the way, is we would actually only do this if there was a change in the actual scale, at which point we would lerp our audio so that it goes, you know, either down or it gets louder, depending on what you're doing. Because otherwise we're going to get some weird cutoff, and I'll show you what that is in a second. So let's go ahead and actually, no, I'm going to go ahead and cheat. I'm going to turn on our test spawn. Just because I'm going to run over here anyway. Yeah, it's looking good. Let's go ahead and save. Okay. I apologize for the volume. It's about to blast your ears. So you might have noticed it get quieter. Listen to it real quick, it's going to get louder. Quieter. It's very sudden. But so that works out surprisingly well, actually, and yeah, the water is far enough along that I guess you can't really see it. Make sure that people can't really tell that there's a cutoff there. I think that's fine. It's not too bad. I do like having it scale, though. That's pretty nice. I feel like I should have something else, too, but it's not really that bad. I wonder if I should increase the speed that it's falling, though. I suppose... Alright, so let's go ahead and do this. We are going to now say We're gonna need a coroutine, which is super gross. Okay. Yeah. All right. Trying to think about how I want to structure programming the lerp. So we need a coroutine, but also if you turn the handle, you know what? I'm not going to worry about that. That's fine. So let's go ahead and make a coroutine real quick. And we're just going to say yeah, that gets complicated. No. Oh, geez. Yeah. Right. So, oh dear. I'm basically trying to think of how I can handle lerping from one value to another. But that requires that I know what its original value should be. So, that's not right. Okay, hold on. Let's see, come up to here. Ah, here we are. Okay. Yeah, I think I know what I can do here. So we're gonna come back to here. We're gonna say float previous, float new. Current. Oh, geez, these are terrible names. So we'll say new scale or sackle scale. Previous scale. Okay. And then we're just gonna say float t equals 0f. While t is less. Okay, t is equal to 0f. While t is less than 1f, we are going to do this. We're going to say yield return null, t plus equals time dot delta time, and we're going to say okay. So we're going to come up to here. Let's see, waterfall. Right. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and I guess right about here. Jeez, this is a mess. Public float waterfall transition duration is equal to. We're gonna just have it be 1 second for now. We're gonna say divided by waterfall transition duration. And then we're just going to go ahead and say, we will say vector 3. God dang it. Okay. So this is going to be previous delta, new delta. Whatever, that's fine. So this will be pre-scale. That's going to be equal to new, vector 3, previous delta, 1f, previous delta. Come on. Previous delta, okay. Versus vector 3, new scale is equal to new vector 3, new delta, 1f, new delta. Okay, and then float pre-volume is equal to mathf.lerp from 0f to cached waterfall volume based on previous delta. Then float new volume is equal to mathf.lerp from 0f to cached waterfall volume based on new delta. Okay. So we're going to say waterfall dot local scale, sorry, is equal to vector3 dot lerp from pre-scale to new scale. Then waterfall audio dot volume is equal to mathf dot lerp from pre-volume to new volume based on T, also based on T here. Okay, and let's go ahead and just grab these. And at the very end, we're just going to set it equal to new scale and new volume, respectively. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to come up to here, and we're going to say if, actually, hold on, I got to do something else too. We're going to say float prev scale is equal to 1f. So we're going to change this around a little bit. We're just going to say if valve 1id.name is equal to id, or rather if it's not equal to that, then we're going to say prev scale minus equals 0.25f. And we're just going to add this to pretty much every one of these. Okay. Okay. And so this is going to be valve 3, and this is going to be what? Oh. Because I did it twice. I was like, what's going on here? I'm so confused. My formatting got messed up. Okay. There. There we go. That's better. And then valve 3. Valve 2 ID. Okay. So that should be good. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to say if prev scale is not equal new scale, or just scale, then we're going to start a coroutine, start coroutine, waterfall coroutine based on prev scale, then scale. Okay, so we can get rid of this, So it will now lerp instead of just hard set shifting all at once. So we should have a little bit better of a transition. So that works out pretty well. We'll let that compile, and while that's happening, I'm going to take a drink. Okay. Okay, yeah, we can get rid of that. So, with this change, we should now have a slight lerp to our volume and to our scaling. So if you're really fast, you could turn around to see it. So it's not super great. We'll probably want to actually have a curve that evaluates along, just so that it's not quite as aggressive mechanical. But works quite well. Is our volume not changing, or was it just too subtle of a change? Let's find it. It did change. It's just about half as much of a change as I would like. I suppose that's fair. Alright. Let's go ahead and stop playing. And we'll add a curve for that to evaluate along. Oh, right, hold on. Get rid of this because I don't need this anymore. Castle Sewer Manager, we can get rid of this. Go up to here, go here. We're just going to say public animation curve, waterfall transition curve is equal to animation curve dot ease in out 0f 0f 1f 1f. Okay, and that means that down here, instead of being t, we're going to say waterfall transition curve dot evaluate for t. Okay, so that should make it a little less jarring in terms of how it moves. Let's go ahead, and before I forget, I will go ahead and add two things for it. It's going to be transition duration, transition curve. Okay. Let's see. Sewer info, waterfall. There we go. Let's go ahead and paste that. Transition duration. Transition curve. Get rid of the GUI content because it's not particularly necessary. Same for this, actually. All right. Let that compile, and we should be pretty good to go there. Okay. Once this compiles, clear this, come over to here. There's our curve. I'm going to bump that to 2, actually. Let's hit save, and let's go ahead and play again. Once again, apologies for the loud volume, but we do need it on for now. Okay, pretty good. Oh. Oh, interesting. Let's try this again. Interesting. It doesn't seem to scale back up once it's been shrunk. Curious. Why not? Find all references. Right. It's because if it's disabled, then this will not evaluate to true. Which I guess means that I can't really use that as a check statement. Instead, I should probably have this just say, like, if I don't really like that. Hmm. That's very unfortunate. So I can try to approximate this just by comparing the scale of the waterfall itself, just using its x value for its local scale. But that potentially could give you bad results if you rotate it very quickly, which means that I can't really do that. Instead, I suppose the best way to do this would be to keep a running scale value. So instead of having it be declared here, I would have a previous scale value be set somewhere else. Then I can just compare if the new scale is equal to that previous scale. That would probably work. So let's go ahead and get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this. We will move this up to here. We're going to say private float previous waterfall. Geez. Delta, I really don't know what a good value is for this. We're just going to have that be 1 by default. And we're going to come down to here. I no longer need these to have their own brackets, so we can just do this just to make our code a little bit more compact. And instead of having previous scale, what we're going to do is we're just going to say at the end of this, if scale does not equal cache, what was it? Waterfall delta, previous waterfall delta, there we go. Then we'll say previous waterfall delta is equal to scale, and let's go ahead and pass that into there. So that should work. But what we need to do is when we go down to start, well, maybe not. Let's see. I guess that stuff would automatically handle it, maybe? Let's find out. So we're going to let this compile. And the thing I need to be careful of here is I am not 100% certain if... Actually, I'm pretty damn sure that what's going to happen here is that these... Oops, hold on, let me find the function. On valve update, find all references. I believe I do this in start. What? Oh, right. That was my master plan. That's not great. So, all right, yeah, good. So I have to copy paste this, which is gross. So I'm actually going to go ahead and move this stuff into its own function. So we're just going to go to here. We'll call this private void check waterfall delta. Just what we're going to call that. Then we will go ahead and say check waterfall delta. Grab that. Then down in start, we are going to do pretty much the exact same thing. We'll just call check waterfall delta at the very end. All right. So that should ensure that if we turn a valve on, cause the waterfall to shrink, and then turn the valve off, the waterfall should now grow back. We will check that real quick. If that works, then what we're going to do is we're going to shrink it back down, go back up to the castle, then come back down to the sewer to make sure that our waterfall is still at the appropriate size. That should work. So let's go ahead and set this. So we should just play. Again, be careful of the volume because we're going to be greeted with an explosion of water when we first come into the scene. So just be aware. Okay, so go ahead and rotate. going so fast I can't see it. But it is scaling up, which is good. So you can tell that it's scaling up because the ends of the water, the corners, basically line up with our grate when it's full. Left. It's a little bit smaller. You can see they're no longer perfectly lined up. So let's go to us. Just gonna fly through the level. Let's go back up. Go back up. Oof. Wow. That was a really bad lag spike. That should not have been the case. Okay, going up. Alright. Okay, and let's just go ahead. Snow clip back down. Alright. So we're going to go back down, and it should, in theory, be the same size as it was. Yeah! Alright. Cool. So that's working. Awesome. So we now have a little bit better feedback in terms of... I love looking at culling when you're outside of the areas. So we now have a visual and auditory feedback mechanism for showing progress. Admittedly, it's still a little subtle. I don't know if it will be enough of a feature to inform players of exactly what they need to do. But it is something. Just by virtue of having the waterfall shrink and get quieter as you turn on more switches, I think that will help. We could also change it so that it shrinks much more dramatically. Instead of 0.25, I could make it like 0.3. That would probably go a long way, honestly. So let's go ahead and change it to that. And actually, you know what? I'm just gonna make it a freaking thing that I can adjust in the inspector. So let's go to where are you? Right here. So public float waterfall transition hilarious. Delta. Oh my god. I don't know what's up with me, but I can't come up with names. So we're going to make it 0.3, I think, by default. Let's go ahead and tooltip this. So this is going to be normalized difference, or no, delta, between waterfall valve, not value, valve scales. That's a little vague, but I think it will work. So we're going to come back up to here, and we're going to say waterfall delta. Okay, let's go ahead and grab this, put that there. We're going to come up to here. Let's copy this. We're going to put this over to here. We're going to just rename this as, actually, let's get rid of you. Put you here. We're going to call you delta. That's not going to mean anything yet, but that's fine. Let's copy this, paste this here, make this delta, and also make you delta. I know you're not going to like it yet, but it's okay, we'll get there. Let's copy this. Actually, we'll just copy this, paste this, rename this delta. Okay. And that should work. So let's go ahead, let that compile. And that should set up our inspector for the sewer manager to actually show that value so we can more easily adjust it. So now it'll be a lot easier for us to just mess with this instead of having to constantly go into our code, edit it, and recompile and all that. We can just have it be driven via the inspector. I should really always just do stuff, have it exposed in the inspector. Because whenever I just try to make it a magic number, I'm like, I just want to change it in the inspector anyway. I always think that I can get it with just one value, but nope. Nope, nope, nope. I always need to play test. God, that's so loud. So, not too much of a difference there. Let's go ahead and say SOS. Fly over to here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Although, so the original way to get out of here is once you disable the waterfall, there's a magic seal. But I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be enough in terms of, well, just in terms of visual feedback and a goal that you want to get to. Because right now it looks like you're just slowly slimming down the water, but you don't know why. There's no door that you're getting to that's obvious. Yeah, it's really not great. I don't want to make the water deeper either, because then people will feel like they should be swimming instead of just walking on kind of a ground with some amount of water on it. Maybe it'll be fine. People haven't really had that problem before, so I think it's okay. Yeah, okay. We'll let it just stay like that for now. I think it's fine. As long as people notice that this is visually shrinking with each pipe that they turn on, then it should be fine. I am going to go ahead and rotate this all the way to make sure that this does not... Okay, make sure that our waterfall is appropriately scaled. Okay, good. Cool. So let's... I think 0.3 is fine. It's a little bit more noticeable than 0.25. That gives us a whole extra increment of 0.1 by the end there. So cool. We now have auditory and visual feedback for our waterfall, so I think players will have a better sense of progression. I'm still a little concerned, but I think it will be fine. Yeah. Maybe I should add one more extra animation curve so that I can try to control this along a curve and make it more like an exponential thing where the first shrinkage is pretty noticeable and then the second one is slightly less so. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that actually. So we're going to go up to here. Animation transition curve. And for this is going to be a little different. We're going to paste this in. We're going to tooltip this. Tooltip. Okay. And this is just going to say, instead of transition curve, this is going to be animation transition. I guess I could just call it waterfall curve. So this is going to be curve transition, curve waterfall transitions evaluate along, okay, versus curve waterfall deltas evaluate along. That I think makes a little more sense, but instead of dot ease and out, I think we're going to do, I guess we'll just keep it at ease and out. Or actually, no, let's do linear by default. But I do want it to be an exponential curve, I think, or not an exponential, logarithmic curve, I get the feeling. Okay, and that's going to change just in a couple of different ways. so let's go to check waterfalls delta, go to definition. Right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to waterfall coroutine, go to definition, and oh my God, this is so terrible. No, um, shoot, how do I want to handle this? So would I have waterfall curve dot evaluate based on waterfall transition curve dot evaluate for T? That seems correct, but also does not. No, that does not work. Shoot. So what's happening here is I need to know what my final value is going to be, I suppose. That seems wrong. Or perhaps not. So how would that work? Yes, I think it would. So let's go for. Come up to here real quick. I'm actually going to set this to be times 2. So it's going to be 1f and then 0f. And we're going to come back down here. And I think what I can do here is say waterfall curve dot evaluate based on previous delta. And I think what I can do there is I can actually change this. And we're just going to say previous delta is equal to this. And then we can change this back to previous delta, actually. And then I can basically do the same thing. So we're going to copy this, except it's going to be new delta. I think that will do what I want. So let's let that go. Oh, why did I do that? Because I still need to set up my freaking curve here. Paste this in, transition curve. To just waterfall curve, hit save. All right. Okay. So this, if I'm not mistaken, should work a little bit more like I'm expecting. So let's go ahead, grab this, and we're going to change this to be, of course, you don't really have what I quite wanted. We essentially want these to be the opposite. Okay, so we're just going to set this. Oops. Set you up to be like there, I think. No. It's the opposite, actually. We want this curve down like that. Okay, so let's try that and see how we feel. I'm reasonably reasonably sure that's the way I want to do it. Okay. Whenever I think about animation curves and how they're evaluated, I always kind of second guess myself. It's entirely possible I did this upside down, but we'll find out. Yeah, I did. I did do it upside down. So that's hilarious. Let's go ahead and rotate this one back here. Oop. Let's not turn off no clipping. That would not end well for me. Yeah, okay. I did it upside down. I knew I did it. I knew I did it upside down. I always do. So maybe I actually just want it to be like that. Well, let's find out. If it goes all the way away at the beginning. Okay, it's not that. Yeah, okay. We're getting closer. Is it this? So perhaps it's this. Okay, that's pretty dramatic. I like it. But it gets bigger. Okay. So, not correct. Because it's getting smaller, or it's getting bigger as it gets closer to being finished. So I want this to go in the opposite direction, which should be here, except we probably want it to be closer to here, like that. Because it just... 0.3, it should be like half of its size here, but it's not. Well, how about this? I'm going to get rid of these. And then I'm also going to come over to here, and we're just going to debug our deltas. Oops. All right, we're going to do 0. Let's do 1, and probably what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to put it up here so I can see exactly what they should be, just so I know. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Delta. Okay. So let's let that compile. Okay. All right, there we go. So let's try this again. Let's see what values we get. Okay. So we're on the right track with the current curve. We just need to have better values, I suppose. It's just unbelievable. 0.7 goes up to 0.91 and then up to 0.64. So we want this, I think. So let's try that. All right. And a tad dramatic, perhaps, but not terrible. Okay, so that is the correct type of curve. We just need to tweak it some. But I think that's probably a pretty good place for us to stop. So we probably can do something like this. So not quite linear, really. You want it to shrink a little bit faster, something like that. So yeah, we got some new texturing done for our valves, which should, I think, help give visual clues on what directions the handle should be rotated in. Yeah, that's a little bit better, I think, with the first shrinkage. And we now have audio-visual cues for the waterfall itself as well, which will help, I believe, immensely with this. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the night. So, announcements. I will not be doing a stream on Thursday because there is a local game developer showcase thing going on, and I'm going to be going to that on Thursday night. So just be aware that that is going to be a thing on Thursday, so I won't be streaming. And I'll send out announcements on the Discord to remind everyone about that. But yeah, so I think that's about it. And as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.